asi mari muhomwe. Ndizvoka hanzi prayer does not substitute men's duty. Ndizvoka munamato haubvi wabva wati zvaunga ufanira kuti uite iwe wobva wati ndazvinamatira saka zvakutofamba. Ndizvoka munamato une chi power. Ndizvoka basa rine chi nai power. Divinity does not substitute technology. Tiri pamwe chete. Or technology does not substitute chi nai divinity. Nhasi toda kudzidza zvishoma shoma pama aspect maviri. The first aspect ndema relations. Ndizvoka ma relations. How do you nurture relations? Uyu ndibhuru wangu zvekare Maseko. He is one of the guys vakandibatsira pairana innovation hub yeCold Mutual. Ndizvoka aingondinvitewo ndichingotaurawo sezvatirikutaura pamuri, asi izvozvo zvakatozondibatsira kuti process yedue diligence indirerukire. Ndizvoka and since then we have been keeping ties. Pane dambudziko ratinoita kana tiri mubusiness rekufunga kuti in business vanhu vazhinji they are transactional, they are not relational. Mandibatawo zvakanaka. Transactional ndeyekuti kana pasina mari iripo interest yako ishoma. Ndizvoka ukama hwacho unofanira kunge uchibudisa mari. Saka inini ndakazotsvaga secret yangu. Ndakati ndoita sei kuti ndinase kuziva shamwari dzangu dzemubusiness. Shamwari kwadzo kune shamwari dzisiri kwadzo. Ndizvoka nyangwe bhaibheri rinozvitaura. Saka shamwari dziri transactional, especially kana uri present pa social media, vakaona kunge zvinhu zviri kukufambira havari kumhoresa zviri sei, business iri sei, ende vanokushanyira, vanonge vachida kuti havashinewe. Ndizvoka wakangoposta kunge uri kuenda mberi neupenyu. So shamwari dziri transactional they keep very good relations. Asi shamwari dziri relational, paunonge usiri pa social media platform, paunonge wakanyarara ndo padzinokutaga manje. Kuti shamwari iyo mazuva ano wanyarara, kana kuti ndasvika mushopu yakati ndakashaya product, is everything okay? Muri kuona musiyano uripo? Ende muno muHarare matiri dziri transactional dzakawanda. Ndosaka muchiona kuti munhu unogona kubatsira vanhu vakawanda, asi iwo kana wane dambudziko hapana anokubatsira. Muri kuona pane nyaya yacho? Saka we need to have wisdom sevana vaMwari yekuziva shamwari dziri relational. How do you build my relations? Regai ndiri recognize mfundisi namai. Welcome. How do you know friends to hang out with dziri relational? Or how do you build that? Iwe semunhu ari mubusiness. Chinhu chekutanga, munhu wese akakosherwa nevabereki vake. Ndizvoka munhu wese akakosherwa nemhuri yake, munhu wese akakosherwa nemasiblings ake. Vanhu vanonatsa kuziva business, makanasa follower trend yevanhu vamunofunga kuti vanoziva business zvikuru. Kana pakaita afirwa munovaona varipo. Makambozvionawo? Pakaita afirwa munoona vari chinai varipo. Ende dzimweni dzenguva ndivo vanotoita responsibility yekutoti vavige munhu afa iyeye kana iri hama yavo, kana ari munhu wavanoita naye business. Maizvizivawo izvozvo? Inini pane vamwe vanhu vandakatoshamisika vachiuya kukocha kwedu. Ndakati munotosvikawo kuno zvikanzi aiwa uyu taishanda naye anga ari kudepartment rakati, saka aitibatsira zvakati. Muri kuona pane nyaya yacho? Saka chimwe chinhu chinoitika patinoirasa, where we fail to develop sustainable business relations, ndeyekuti maconversations edu anowandira pakuti nhasi uri kudei, kana uchitenga iyi packaging, uri kuda packaging yakawanda sei. Ndizvoka but munhu paanoita dambudziko we don't show up. Muri kuibata zvakanaka nyaya iyi. Saka at the end of the day, vanhu pavanozochuza vanhu nekuita stick around to, you are not an option because wanga usipo panguva yandaitambudzika. Muri kuibata nyaya iyi zvakanaka. Nyangwe bhaibheri rinoti hama dzinotsvagirwa nguva dzekuita sei nai dzekutambudzika, asi shamwari dzinotsvagwa nguva dzekudinai, dzekufara. Saka we need to create relations are sustainable. Kana business partner wako munhu anokupa business ashaikirwa, usasende message paWhatsApp yekuti nematambudziko. Tora leave kubasa kwako uende kunochema naye. Muri bata zvakanaka nyaya iyi. Kana business partner munhu anokupa business, anokubatsira kuti masales ako anga akamira zvakanaka. Kana aita muchato, akuzivisa kuti ndine hanzvadzi yangu iri kuchata, tora nguva uende kunoselebrata naye. Muri kuibata zvakanaka nyaya iyi. Saka at the end of the day, paunodaro, you then come from a zone of being a transactional business partner to a relational business partner. Muri kunzwisa nyaya iyi zvakanaka. Maibatawo zvakanaka nyaya iyi. Asi vamwe vedu takangodzwa kuti munhu aita dambudziko, akungoenda pastatus, deepest condolences, sorry ndiyanga shaita. Asi pane mumwe competitor wako atori naye kuzaka, arikutochema naye, ndizvoka. Endewo kana paita dambudziko rakadaro, is also a good practice kubvisa kana chema kana kubvisa chipo. Muri kuibata zvakanaka nyaya iyi. Izvozvo zvinobatsira kubuilda atinoti sustainable businesses. Ndosaka muchiona mumwe munhu anogona kuti nyangwe pakaita dambudziko, anongoti munhu wangu anondipa zvinhu ndinhingi, haadi kuchinja munhu iyeye. Nengari yekuti beyond business, beyond kuchinjana kwemari, beyond kuchinjana kwepackaging, vanhu ava vane zvizhinji zvavanobatsirana nazvo. Chimwe, kana uchida kuti kuchengetedze business relations, kungobvunzawo business partner wako kuti temi inei, don't worry, ndipe invoice evana ndikubhadharire mari dzemafisi. Ndizvo andika. Izvozvo zvinobatsira kuumba ukama. Ndizvo iye akutoziva kuti kana ndine dambudziko, munhu anogona kunatsa kumira neni chaiye ndiyani naye, ndimarange nyangwe asina kukumbira. That gesture goes a long way. Saka pakubuilda business relationship, we need not to be transactional, we need to be relational. Pakubuilda relations. Taibata zvakanaka nyaya iyi. Number 2, regai ndibate nyaya attitude. Pane vamwe vanhu vakaenda pana Numbers chapter 13 verse 33. Ndizvo andika. Boys riya rakatumwa reintelligence kunoona kuti kwakamira sei Kenani. Vakadzoka vakati naiwe tiri ndongwe. Ndizvo ka? Kubosha tinoti ndongwe. Achiti mashu tinoti ndongwe. Tiri ndongwe. Vakomana vari uko kavana vaAnaki vakakura. All right. It's very true kuti Rio Zim is going under a business or a financial problem. Ndizvo andika. It's very true kuti okay, Zimbabwe is going through a problem. Asi iwewe ndizvo haushandi kwa okay, hausi supplier kwa okay, ndizvo haushandi kuRio Zim, hausi supplier kuRio Zim. Instead yekuti uite gumba musaira rekungochema kuti nyika yadhakwa wakomana, ndizvo ka iwo kana uri business rako rembambaira zvekuti Rio Zim yavhara zviri kukukanganisa bhaki. Chimbonditaurirai. Mabasa ari kushayikwa. Ndizvo ka titaura nevanhu vari mubusiness, hatitaura nevanhu vari pamabasa. Kuvanhu vari pamabasa zveshowaniso iyoyo, because mabasa anoita sei nai ari kupera. Asiwo kana uri mubusiness, because munozoti kune vamwe vanhu so vanongoita propel bad news kuti vangogare vari munegative. Pane imwe song yandinofarira inonzi keep on the sunny side of life. Wakangoita munhu wekungoti everything uri kungochema nezvisingachemedzi, kungotsvaga chinhu chinokuchemedza chete kuti wakomana ningiritie maona food lovers maona uri supply kwatiendereyo, uri supply kwatiendereyo food lovers here, zviri kukukanganisa papi kuti uendere mberi nebasa rako. Saka attitude yekunatsa kutora maproblems ese enyika, hausi governor wenyika, hausi president kana advisor wapresident, wobva waisa pamapfudzi ako iwewe uchirana takshop, hazvina zvazvinokubatsira. Muri kubata zvakanaka nyaya iyi. Uri kungozotsvagira zvinhu zvinokuchemedza. Munozopana mumwe munhu uri kutsvaga zvinhu zvinovachemedza, zvinongovarwadzisa so kuti guru zvakamira sei kuti zvatooma shamani kochi ona wanzwa zvaitika kwa okay iwewe waraiti tadzwa asi iwewe zviri kubata papi mubhizinesi rako, zviri kukuafekta papi chaipo? Hapana, kungotsvaga zvinhu, kungotsvaga kumuka kwakuseni paipaya munhu achitanga kubata foni, musati mamhoresana unotoona munhu apa foni kutsvaga zvinhu zvinomudiscourage kuti asaite bhizinesi. Kana wakadaro uri munhu akadaro, let me assure you, you are not a business person. Kubusiness kune inonzi environmental scan, ndizvoka patinoenda online we are looking for the opportunity. Paiswa essay yakati, saka inondibatsira sei? Saka inondibatsira sei business mangu? Ndakwanisa kuimpota pasina VAT, saka maprice angu akuita zviri nani. At the end of the day, it's just a function of attitude. The same news yataurwa, umwe ari kuona opportunity, umwe ari kuona dambudziko mairi. Muri kubata zvakanaka nyaya iyi. Saka I want to encourage vanhu vari kuda kupinda mubusiness kuti let's not dwell on the problems. Maproblems haaperi. Nyangwe izvozvi takaenda kuAmerica kune maproblems ako. Ndizvoka takaenda kuUK kune maproblems ani naye. As long as tiri pano panyika munhu akabarwa nemukadzi ane mazuva mashoma azere nekutambudzika. Ndizvoka saka if you want to be a successful business person, never dwell on the negativity. Attitude. Chimwe chinhu kana munhu agonawo, ndizvoka zvakakosha kukorokotedzana. Ndizvoka kuti unotsvaga kuti mazoiona here interchange yacho, pane buri rakati pakati peinterchange, pane ningirikini vakombani. Alright, imwe interchange yatakambovaka ndeipi sevanhu vatema yatinoziva? Kana iyo yakavakwa zvisirizvo, ndizvanika kana kuti kana pane mistake, it's a learning curve, but tichaimprove. But kune vamwe vanhu vanobva amplify the little things. Little, handisi kuti positive criticism yakashata, ndizvanika. But in reality, we should not be people that dwell on negative things only. Kungo criticize. Ningirikini wazonere. Makadaro, if you zvazvinoita wakashaya attitude yekukwanisa kupembedza agona, iwe wacho hakuda kwaunoenda, because attitude yako ingori nenegativity. Are you getting my point? Saka it's also good to build a ningirikini yekuti wakaonawo agona zvaagona, varangesha mwari packaging yako yakaita sei nayo yakanaka. Ndizvoka ndo zvandakwanisa kuita sei nayo. Kana pachine zvimwe zvandinoda kudzidzira, wobva wati asi wakazodai zvinhu zvako zvakati wome, wakadai zvinogona kuita zviri chinai zviri nani. Iyo inonzi positive criticism. Ndizvoka kwete munotsvaga chese chakashata ndio chinoamplifywa. Takadaro we become a group of losers. Iwewe wacho you are a loser, umwe wacho aitawo zvaita, you are trying to pull that him or her down. Saka hatina kwatinoita sei nai kwatinoenda. Saka attitude plays a big role. Even I for myself, to be honest with you, I met Mkoma Osi kuzua. Ndakaenda nakati Mkoma, well done, because asati akamboona interchange muno muchinai muZimbabwe, and that's what we need to do. Sevana vamwari kupembedzana pataita sei nai patagona, paroda kugadziriswa poitwa sei nai pogadziriswa, but takaramba tiri vanhu vari negative, we won't go anywhere. Thank you. Let me introduce to you my brother and friend, Patrick Maseko. Patrick Maseko is heading innovation to ZB, and he has been heading innovation from, like I mentioned, Old Mutual and other institutions. Saka mayuta ari muno pane zvizhinji zvamunogona kudzidza from him, and also vamwe vanoda kudzidza about innovation nezvemari, the discipline of money. There is a lot to learn from him. Mwari akuitire zvakanaka. So angachindizezera kuti can I speak in English? No, you can, Patrick. You can hear the English. Yes.
So it's thing akoma isindebele abanyangalahlele asathola ilizwi endlala. So if it's okay, I can speak in English. My Shona is terrible. You will not understand me if I speak in Shona. I can only speak in Shona when I'm on the streets. But in church, it won't be appropriate. Okay, so my presentation, I think I'll try and go through it quickly. There are 4. Okay, before I start, how many of us are in business? How many of us are employed? You are raising your hands apologetically. How many of us are in business? Are these small businesses or big businesses? As I've got no business talking to you, you still think they're small. Do they feed the families? Do they pay rent? They put food on the table? They put clothes on the children's backs? And you still call it small? Because I think that's the first problem that we have. We always come and we say, I've got this small business that I'm running and you think it's humble. It's not humble. If you've got a business that's running, that's putting food on the table, it's a business that you are running. Let's start appreciating that first. And how many of us are employed? Yes, this is a good church and a good community. So there are more people in business than those that are employed. How many of us want to start businesses? Okay, so we're speaking to the right community and the right group of people. So, like he mentioned, Patrick Masewa is the name. I'm with ZB and I deal a lot with entrepreneurs. I also have a talk show, 15 minutes on radio, where we speak about financial literacy, which is what I'll speak about now, because I think it's appropriate to all of us. And it comes in 4 stages, where for everyone that's in business, I'm going to talk about your hustle, what it is that you do. The second thing that we'll talk about is the entrepreneur's life. How you then live, all linked to financial literacy. Then I'll also speak about your afterlife and the legacy. Then we end there. These are very deep topics, but I'll just go through the surface at the top to help people appreciate what it is I'm speaking about. So when we're speaking about the hustle, it's the small businesses that you said you're running, which I said do not call them small, but call them big, as long as they are feeding the families they're putting food. Okay, for all of you that said your businesses are small, how big do you want them to be? When it's big, how will you know? What needs to happen in your business for you to say it's big? Private jet. What else? What do you want to happen in your business for you to say it's big? Sorry? Oh, you said, but that's no longer business now. You just have a passive income that's coming. Unless you want to, okay. Hey, this topic is big with people. I can't finish it in 20 minutes. How many of you are business people and how many of you are entrepreneurs? Because an entrepreneur is someone who identifies a problem in the community. You identify that problem, you solve it for a profit. If you're a business person, you just look for any business opportunity that's got a known business model to make money. For instance, buying and selling. You can buy and sell, it's a business opportunity. You can franchise. There are many chicken inns. You can ask for a chicken inn franchise. You open your own and you make money. It's a known business model. So how many are entrepreneurs and solving problems in the community? 1, 2. Then the rest are business people. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. We just need to understand so we then see how we tackle the two. Because also, how you then look for money and how you start financing the business depends on whether you're a business person or an entrepreneur. And those that are business people, which are the majority, entrepreneurs, there are 2. You are solving problems. What problem are you solving then?
Traveling bags for camp.
Traveling bags for camp. Ah, nice. And yours?
Digital marketing and communication.
Digital marketing. And the rest that are in business, what businesses are you running? Curtains. Any other? Just mention. Farming. Okay, so it's important for us to know that difference because, like I said, how you then source your funding becomes different. But under the hustle now, for entrepreneurs hustle, what we are talking about is how you work. And that's the difference that we're trying to understand right now. Are you in business because you're a business person, or are you in business because you're an entrepreneur and you're solving problems? Whatever the case, work is important. And even the Bible says, he who doesn't work should not eat. So we need to understand that whatever we're doing, we need to work. And lately, some of the Bible verses that I've now grown to like, concerning business, and I'm glad that my brother touched some of the elements to do with it, is Genesis 15, when the Lord is telling Abraham that the children of Israel are going to be taken away captive, his descendants rather, into Babylon for 400 years. Remember that verse? 400 years, it was prophesied they were going to be taken captive in Babylon, and they were going to be treated as slaves for that amount of time. And then in Jeremiah 29, Can someone open it? Jeremiah 29. I know most of you think about, for I know the plans I have for you. That's not the one I want. Jeremiah 29, this is from verse 4, I think. Or maybe let me read it because I've already opened it. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, and all that are carried away captive. He's speaking to the children of Israel that were captive, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem into Babylon. Build ye houses, dwell in them, plant gardens, and eat the fruit of them. Take ye wives and beget sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that they may be increased there and not diminished. And seek the peace of the city whither I have caused you to be carried away captive, and pray unto the Lord for it, for in the peace thereof ye shall have peace as well. These are captives, and they've been taken away into a land that is not theirs. And the Lord is saying that in that situation, don't give up. And he spoke about the companies that are losing business, the companies that are closing, and we all complain about the economy, and we say the economy is tough. Which other economy do you want that is better? And the Lord is saying, in this economy, start the businesses. Make the money. Get married. I know that there are youth, even when I was before I got married, there are a number of youth that will say that, I can't get married before I make money. I have a different gospel. I might not preach it maybe here now, but maybe you don't preach that gospel. But people are saying that I need to make money before I get married. Maybe getting married is what will give you the money. Maybe the wife, if you're a man, is the one who's got the business plan that will give you money. And you're waiting. You'll die broke. It happens that way. Because sometimes, we complement each other. The two shall become one. So let's be very careful of that. Let's go back to the presentation. Work. When you work, you earn. When you earn, you make money. When you're making money, you need to either innovate to make the business go forward, and then you also need to prepare for investor readiness. That's the entrepreneur's hustle. Work. The Bible says if you don't work, don't eat. When you earn money, the question now is, how are you then saving your money when you earn it? Are we reinvesting? Okay, for everyone that is in business, do we separate business finances from personal finances? Or the business finances are the personal finances? They're separated. Do you have a salary in your business, or the business makes money, it's yours? That's the problem. It has to be one and the same thing. The business needs its own books, and then you pay yourself a salary from the business. Everyone, you need to have a salary in the business. You can't say that because you have sold whatever you're selling today, that money is yours. No, it's business money. It needs to be reinvested. And it needs to turn around. If the business makes a profit, you can pay yourself a bonus. Separate the funding. Separate the finances. Create a bank account for the business and create your own bank account. The problem, and I can assure you, most of you, they said you're running your own businesses or hustling right now. The bank account that you're using is in your name. That's wrong. Have it in the business. I know you're running away from Simra. Have it in the business name. And then you can separate the finances and pay yourself a salary. When you start earning, we start speaking about saving, how you save your money, where you save your money. A lot of people right now, please don't ask me those questions because those questions are difficult. And I work for a bank and I don't want to be quoted. What currency you save in is entirely up to you, and where you get it is your problem. And don't ask me. And where you save it is entirely up to you. I'm not saying put it in the bank because you start about the bank charges. Though I'd encourage you to bring it to ZB, but I'm not saying that. And I'm saying where you save it is entirely up to you. But you need to save for the and a lot of people will tell you about saving because business or no business. If it's business, you're saving because you want capitalize on opportunities. Most people will say create an emergency fund. I don't want to talk about emergency funds because emergency funds are obvious. What happens is when you've got an emergency fund and an emergency occurs, be it a death, illness, or whatever the case may be, you've got money to draw down on and you will not be stuck or caught up in a situation where it becomes difficult for you to come out of it. But you save also to take advantage of situations that may then present themselves. Let me put it this way. If I came today and I said, okay, I'm from ZB, I've got this presentation to do, and anyone that has got $5,000, I'm going to double it. How many will leave this place with 10? So no one has $5,000. How many have $2,000 and I'll double it in saving? None. All right, how many have $500 in saving right now? And I'll give you another 5. Can I see it? But that's the reason why we also need to save, to take advantage of opportunities when they come. Because right now also, it might not be me saying I'll double the money, but I can come and say, hey guys, ZP, there are stands that are there in Greendale right now. We have reduced the price to go, but only for people that have got cash right now. You take advantage of it. Right? So you also save so you can take advantage of opportunities as and when they present themselves. That's another reason for saving. Let's make it a habit. And saving, my friends and family members and community members, is difficult to start doing. Every time I speak about saving, people will start saying that, how do you save when there's nothing to save? And that's a genuine question. But do we make money in the businesses, or do we make the little money that we make wherever we make it? If the answer is yes, and then you're tithing as well, make sure that when you make money and you take out your tithe, what you then remain with, take out saving before you start spending. It's the only way you can save. If you want to save after spending and doing your rent, electricity bills, household bills, school fees, and all those things, nothing remains. And I'm sure a lot of us can testify that there's always more month at the end of the money. And sometimes when you calculate your bills, it doesn't go with your income. The bills are usually high. But then you ask yourself, who covers the gap? I don't know. It could be a divine power that does that. God may intervene, and then he covers that gap, because always the bills are high. You look at the fees for the kids, you look at the bills in the house and the food, everything is usually higher than the money that you are making. But you make it until the end of the month, debt-free. Ask yourself how you're doing it. So try taking out saving before you spend, and see if the Lord will still bless what remains. Fair enough? So let's force ourselves to save. And then investor readiness are speaking about how people then need to prepare for investment, because it's another important thing that we need to learn how to do. Learn how to speak the language. Money has one language. I came here, I spoke a bit in Ndebele, you are speaking in Shona, we are speaking English now, but money understands one language, and that's money. And then you wonder why we continue to be broke. It's because we don't understand the language of money. Money runs away from you when it sees you. What's your relationship with money? Is it a long distance relationship? Is it a... I don't want to say a one-night stand in church. What's your relationship with money like? Some of us have got a love-hate relationship with money. Some of us have got a long-distance relationship with money. Sometimes money comes in and it goes. We need to come up with stable relationships with money where we love each other. Money wants to associate with you. And this afternoon I was speaking at not a men's conference, to men at work, and we're speaking about this thing where we're talking about how we also need to brand ourselves so we can attract investment. Do you know there are certain things that we do that just don't say money when we walk around? When I wear a suit and a tie, I don't like it. Trust me, I don't like it. But I have to do it. Because it makes me seem like I know what I'm talking about. Am I right? Yeah. When you saw me sitting there, it looked like I knew what I was talking about. Right? But if you come in a tracksuit, you might be the wealthiest man. And there's a man that I once judged because he had his shirt was untucked and his shoes were dirty, and he walked into the office and was complaining, not at ZB, at another company. And he was complaining about everything. And I was like, but who's this guy who just comes here and he complains? This is actually a restricted zone in the back office. And they said, he's the guy that pays your salary. It didn't look like it, because I was wearing a suit and he was wearing a tracksuit. There was a difference. But money has a language, and we need to understand how we speak that language, especially when we're now speaking to investors. Right? So if you come to me, for example, and you say, I've got a small business, I've got no time to listen. Understand how you speak the language of money. Right? And then there's the entrepreneur's life. Under the life, we talk about saving, spending, black tax, and financial stress. Saving and spending, I've spoken about. Black tax is what I want us to speak about, because we're all black. Yes? Okay, so let's speak about black tax. Is black tax, we're also about our businesses, is black tax a burden, or is it a responsibility that we need to bear? How many of us are experiencing black tax? Okay, how many of us know what black tax is? Because there's no white tax. I think everything that's bad is black. There's black magic, there's black tax. Everything that's bad is black. How many of us, who doesn't know what black tax is? Yes, okay. So black tax is when you make it in life, let's say you start making it financially, you finish college, or you start your business starts doing well, and then the relatives start coming. Either they want to stay with you or they start asking you to take their children to school because now you've made it. Right? And now everyone also, whoever wants to start a business now starts coming to you and they say, I want to start my chicken project. And they come to you and they now want money. Because of that, now you have to start supporting family members. Either immediate family or extended family. And that's a tax. It's called black tax. I think that term started in South Africa. And we all go through it. When I first came to Harare as the first family member from Bulawayo to come and live in Harare, but no family in Harare. But 2-3 weeks after I arrived here, relatives started calling, can we come and spend the night? We're going to Zambia. And I'm like, I've only been here for 2 weeks. I'm also renting. I wasn't even renting, I was staying with other church members. But now people want to come to my place. And it's worse when you get married and then you move out and you're not staying. Now everyone wants to come, stay with my niece, stay with so and so. And that's black tax. Now, I've always said it's not a burden, it's ubuntu. Don't consider black tax to be a burden. What we need to do now as people, when you've started your business and you're helping someone else, when it comes to black tax, identify the best person with potential in the family that you can raise. Capacitate them, and then take them off your list and then start supporting other people. The problem is, sometimes, we think that we need to help everyone. We don't. Sometimes you need to help yourself first and stay afloat. Tell family members, I did it once when I wanted to clear a mortgage. I stayed in Warren Park. When I wanted to clear it, when family members would come, I stayed with some of them at home. Then I thought, for the next year, I don't want anyone coming to my house and I'm not paying anyone's school fees. I want to clear the mortgage. People should understand. If there's a project you want to do, let family members know, but don't cut them off completely. Let them know that this is what I'm working on for the next year. Spare me, I don't want to say the drama. Spare me the requests for funding because I want to clear this. After that, we can get back to the normal cycle and you can assist people. But always identify potential. Don't just help blindly because they beg. If you can see that here the money is not going anywhere, it's going to waste. Identify the next person that you can help. I've got a cousin of mine, she's at our rural home in Guero. She always used to call me, Putin, project, I want to start a chicken project. She mentioned $150. When she mentioned that figure, I knew she was onto something because it makes sense. You can do about 100 birds in the feet and all those things with about $150. So she begged for a while, but I knew at the back of my mind that, I can't do this. Then one day I went to Musha and she came and I was there and it became difficult to say no. But she had always been sending SMSs. Right? Every time she sends me a message, SMS. And then I gave her the $150. It was on a Sunday. And then I came back to Harare. On Monday, she sent me a voice note. What happened? On Monday, she sent me a voice note. So we need to be careful how we assist people. I know we can get touched by the stories, but we also need to be careful that this black tax is real, and we need to see how we then assist our people. Then in the afterlife of an entrepreneur, right, I speak about investing, protecting health, and relationships. I'm glad you touched on relationships, so I'm not going to touch on those much. But we speak about investing, where to invest, how do you protect your money? Protecting your money is in insurance. Our business is insured. What are they insured against? I know a lot of us, when we get a bit of money, we now want to buy cars because when we buy a car, it then helps us do our business. Is that the argument I always hear from youth? I want to buy a car so I can be mobile to meet the clients. That's not the truth. Are the cars insured? Is the business insured? How do we protect our money? How do we protect our assets? How do we protect our businesses? These are some of the things that we need to look into when we're in business as well. And then investing. How do we invest? Where do we invest? We need to be looking at that. So I spoke about readiness before. How do you identify a potential investor into your business? That's one thing you need to understand, because not everyone that has money wants to invest in your business. When I came here to Harare also, I think one of the first churches I went to was Highlands. Apart from the fact that it was English speaking, there were a lot of people with money at Highlands at the time, and I thought that I could get one of them to give me money. The elderly people, as a youth then, none of them would tell you how they made their money. No one would come and tell you, this is how I made my money. In fact, one of the elders at church, when I then went into banking, he was a banker, I asked him, can you be my mentor? And then I went to his offices. I spent about close to 2 months trying to get a session with him for mentorship. I went to his offices and I waited for about 30 minutes. He came out of the meeting, went into the boardroom, and he said, Elder, what you need? He was like, no, you agreed you can be my mentor, so I want to have our first session. And he said, all in God's time, Elder. All in God's time. That was the only thing he said to me. All in God's time, my elder. And then he's like, is there anything else? I'm like, but can't we go to a boardroom and you show me how banking is done? Can't we? No, only God time, my elder. You know, when the time is ready, it will happen for you. I never went back to see him. It was the only session I had. But fast forward now, I think this was about 15, 16 years ago. I now understand there are some things that you can't rush. When the Lord has said 400 years in Babylon, even if you pray hard, you can pray hard to leave. All in God's time, in the fullness of time. It doesn't matter. You just start building houses and having children and getting married because you are there to stay in that situation. So this is what happened to me. So I then understood because it took me a very long time. I toiled for 10, 13 years before the first major break came out, but it was difficult. But now also speaking to relationships, this is where another important thing is also because sometimes for most people that are successful, when you ask them about their stories, they can't tell you. And I believe it's for two reasons. One, some of them have got shady beginnings. No one in church will tell you that I stole money inside of a business or I did fraud. No one will tell you that. So maybe they won't tell you. And then other people don't tell you because they don't know where God intervened. 1 minute you're doing this, the next it just transitioned and the Lord happened somewhere. And you don't know where it happened. And that's where relationships come up now also. Because for many of us, I know we don't like doing business with Adventists because Adventists also can be... And there are certain people that you don't want to do business with. But when it comes to relationships, it's important that they are not transactional. We have real relationships. And when you start doing business with people also, just make sure that when they are referring you, you go and you do a great job as well. So it's important for us to then see how important relationships are because people will mention you in their circles when you're not there and things begin to move for you. And I'll say this as a testimony also because I've worked for 4 companies. And at all 4 of these companies, I'm not an entrepreneur, but I train them. I want to grow in the corporate ladder. If they retrench me, I'll be stuck. I've worked in 4 companies. And in all those 4 companies, I never applied for a single job. In all the companies, it's someone that just went and said, the first job I went to, these guys met in a beer hall at Oasis. And he said, I've got my nephew. And then I called the guy, he didn't remember my uncle, because they were drinking together, my uncle was drunk. And he's like, I don't remember talking to your uncle, but if you're saying someone called you, just come to Harare so I can see you. So I came to Harare. And they gave me the job. Then the guy was asking me, no, I'm also an Adventist, but I drink. You Adventists have got serious rules, so I left the church. So when do you want to start working? I told him I want to start working in September after camp meeting. And he was understanding. Like, okay, so come in September. I did the job. The second job I got was the same story. Someone said, no, come and sit at reception every day to see the MD. I never got to see the MD for 2 weeks, but I sat there every day. Up until she came back one day and said, no, just come on Monday. I'm like, am I coming to work? Am I coming to see him? Why am I coming? They said, no, just come dressed for work. I was like, okay. So I came on the Monday. I didn't see him again on the Monday. He just gave me a space. Go and sit in the back office. I sat in the back office for 2 weeks without a contract. Up until they brought me and said, okay, now you can start doing this. The third job that I got, I was working, doing something, and then I got a call. This was now Old Mutual. I don't know if there's anyone from Old Mutual here. And they called and they said, Patrick, we need to come and start work tomorrow. And I was like, who's this? This is Pauline. Where are you calling from Old Mutual? Like, does Old Mutual employ people like this? I thought it was a joke. Do you employ people like this? Like, no, I've got your CV, come and start work tomorrow. I never submitted my CV to Old Mutual. Then I said, if you're serious, send me a contract. And she sent it, and I signed it, and I returned it, and I said, can I start on Monday? Then tomorrow was a Wednesday, this was a Tuesday. And I thought, who sent my CV to Old Mutual? But what I'm saying is relationships. If we know each other right now, and I know what you are doing, and I go to wherever I'm going at ZB, and I hear that there are now some loans for people that are doing this line of business, and I remember you, I will drop your name, you'll get a phone call, and things start moving. But the problem is that we come for gatherings like this. We think it's business and it's church, and we don't network, and we live here, we don't know each other. When I leave this place, I don't know, I'll never remember you, and I'll go, and nothing will happen. Most of you might remember me because I'm speaking right now, and when you go to your own spaces, you'll be like, there's this guy who once said this, and you'll invite me again, and I'll come and I'll talk. But these things also need to start making money with people. I can't come for free when we're talking about such things like this. And every time I get these invitations, especially in church, they will start by saying, Elder. Don't call me Elder when you call me for a session like this one. Just say, Mr. Marcel. So I know I'm getting paid. When you say Elder, I know there's money coming. And then the entrepreneur's legacy. This is the last one that I'm going to do. We're dealing with debt, succession planning, generation wealth, and a good name. So when we're talking about a legacy, we're now saying, what do you want to leave behind? When you're done, you're now retired, you're coming out of the business, what do you want to leave behind? I know a number of us here, maybe not a number of us, but you may know people that started really good businesses, took their children to good schools, but the children never wanted to come back and run the family business. They went, relocated to Australia, relocated to America, and now the person is old, doesn't have the energy to run the business anymore, and they've got no successor. That's one scenario. Second scenario, the statistics show that 9 out of 10 businesses fail. I work in the startup space, I've seen it. 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Startup companies. The other interesting statistic is that black businesses do not last beyond the first generation. Like 70% of black businesses don't last beyond the founder. Which means all of you that raised your hand saying you're doing business, are you the founders of your business? Did you start those businesses? Or did you inherit them? One, you inherited yours. What are you doing to marry, if you don't mind? Okay, so I see how you can inherit them. The rest, you started your businesses. Statistics show that if you are 10 of you, 7 of those businesses will stop when you stop working on them. No black business goes beyond the 3rd generation. Most of them, they don't. Why? Where are we getting it wrong with the formula? White businesses last generations to come. There's one white man that I think is Radon, I can't remember, but they deal with farming implements. He's an old man. And when I was talking to him, then we wanted to give him a loan. When I was talking to him, he was saying that he hasn't even started eating his own money. But I looked at him and he had grandchildren. And he was saying, I haven't even started my money. Right now, I'm still eating my grandfather's money. And then when he explained the model, what he said was, his grandfather, okay, let me explain it now. When I'm working right now, I'm not working for my children, I'm working for my grandchildren. My children have to make it on their own. And I'm going to support my grandchildren. Then my children don't work for their children, they work for their grandchildren. And that's the model that they use. So when he was saying he was eating his grandfather's money, his parents' money was not his, but his grandfather had set them up. And that's the model that works. And these are the guys who are running most of the ATS schools. I'm sure you know them, Peterhouse, Watershed, all these schools. These are the schools that they are running. And that's a simple model that they use in their community. When I'm making money right now, I'm thinking about my grandchildren. My father should have thought about my kids. He didn't. When he died when I was young. So I can't say he didn't. He passed away when I was only grade 7. But that's the model that he should have used. So if I'm seriously considering it right now, I should be thinking about my grandchildren. And that's what we call now for succession planning, because we need to set them up, right? We need to success, and then generational wealth, and then a good name. I'll end with a good name. I know I was all over. Normally when I teach this, it's just one section per day, so it should have been 4 days. But now for a good name, what we are saying, good people, also is that most of us might not make it and become very wealthy in this life right now. Because of all the challenges we face, maybe it's the country, the economy, and all these things. We might not, I'm not saying we will not, I'm saying we might not, and there's no problem with not making it. But the best thing that you can leave for your children in the generation you come right now is a good name. I've always said this, especially when I have these conversations with people, to say, I might not make it in this life, but if I can leave a good Masego name, then my children will benefit. If my son Tumelo comes to you and he says, my father's name is Patrick Masega, you remember this day that Patrick came to Mabelreign Church and spoke about this, open the door for him. Patrick was a good man. He came and he presented this, and I got this and this and this, and my business changed because of this. And he comes applying for a job at your workplace, and he brings his birth certificate, because you will ask for it. And you see Patrick Masego's father. No, employ the young man. So I campaign for my kids like this because I want to try and leave a good name. And this is what we may all need to do should the Lord not bless us right now in such a way that our businesses flourish and they make millions for us. Have a good name. And to this day, we still use the name of Jesus. Does it make sense? To this day, we still use that name. And that's the only name by which we can be saved. So I know some of us are burdens to our parents, especially the youth. Destroying the names that your parents have built. We need to be very careful of that. If you cannot make it, just have a good name. Amen. Amen.
I think this guy ended too soon. Patrick, how about we request for 10 additional minutes? Who is with me on that one? We still have 40 minutes to go.
Oh,
yes.
Let me speak about something.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. You didn't on the spot. All right. Let me speak about something else now that still helps with business. This is another one I like to speak about, which is networking. When we come to a place like this, I've always said that whenever I go to a networking event, I make sure I've got 5 business cards that I leave with. You might not be carrying business cards because we're coming to church, but you've got pens and notebooks. Get to know one another, right? Now, what I've also said about these events also is that when you came here, was there a program that was shared with people? Did you know who was speaking to you today? Did you know I was coming? What do I do? You knew I was coming. What do I do? Not from the announcement that he made. From the, what do I do? It's not a trick question. It's either you know or you don't. You knew Patrick Masego was coming to Mabelreign today. What does Patrick do? You see, that's a good guess, because I'm going to assume you're guessing. But the first thing you should have done is Google who is this person who's coming here today. This is a business setting. I think the theme is empowerment this week, or something along those lines. What does he do? What intelligent question can I ask him when we meet? Right now you don't know what I do, so you don't know what to ask me. Am I lying? No, you don't know what I do. You don't know what to ask me. You don't know how I can help you right now. You don't know what you can do for me or what my problems are. And that's the problem when it comes to networking. Every time you go to an event like this, you knew Leslie was coming. Maybe they keep mentioning that it's flight time. But what else does it do? Does he have kids or a wife? Does he?
Yes. It's because my wife was
Make it your business to find out who's presenting. The reason why I say that is because when you come for a networking event, you don't come to ask for favors. Try not to ask for favors. Come with a solution to someone's problem. Right now I've told you that I stay in Warren Park. I don't want to stay there forever. But if you know that, okay, Patrick, I know you want to move. There's an opportunity that stands there in Mabelreign, or there's a house that's being sold there. We think this and this and this. You have helped me, and I will always remember. But if you come and you're saying that I heard you work at ZB, are you guys giving loans? I shut down. Do you understand? So always come with a solution to people's problems when you're coming to a networking function. That's one. 2, you should also ask yourself what value you bring to this gathering. What value have you brought to this meeting right now? If we then look at the people that are here right now, right? And I don't say this to put anyone under pressure. He works at Glide Time, he owns it. I work at ZB, I head innovation. There are a number of people here that said they're running businesses. A couple of people said they're employees. There's a certain value you can bring to the conversation. And then you come to the networking event, and then you have got nothing that you bring. What that then does is it tends to bring down the average value of this gathering. Does it make sense? Average value of the gathering goes down. When people then leave and say, that event was not interesting, maybe they're referring to you. Everyone else is okay, but maybe they're referring to you. And by value, I'm not saying bring man. By value, I'm saying be a connector of people as well. Don't look for anything that puts money in your pocket at that time. But you can be the person that's connecting other individuals. To say, okay, listen, I know you. What's your name? Zepo. So you're Sutu? Sometimes. No, my wife is Sutu. All right. So Zepo over here is now, you now know, we have had the conversation and like, okay, listen, Patrick, I hear you speaking about this. Did you know that so and so is also doing A, B, C, D, E? And then you connect us. And now you don't get any money from that, but now I always remember that there's a time I visited that church and I was connected to this individual, and I'm forever grateful. Yes? So your value does not depend on your pocket. Your value depends on the connections that you have. And for the youth now, the friends that you have are the people your kids are going to call connections. Does it make sense? Your friends. are the people that your children are going to call connections. So if your connections or your friends right now are in these funny places, then your kids have got no connections. You owe it to your children to then have the right people in your network. And when I say right people also in your network, I'm saying that, like I mentioned, with all the jobs, you just need people that can just drop your name when it's necessary. And you also want to be able to use people's names because you've got a relationship with them. And by that, what I mean is that there are some people that you guys go around mentioning to say, I know so and so, but they don't want people to know that you know them. In some cases, I have to ask. The other time I was at an event at ZITF and the Deputy Minister of ICT came. Now, he was my senior in high school. Now, I talk about it now because he allowed me to do it. He was my senior in high school. And a lot of people were panicking to say, minister's coming. And you know the protocol that goes with high government offices. And then I couldn't panic because, we used to use the same shower rooms with this guy. So I was like, okay. So I stood aside. I didn't want to act like I knew him. But when my time to speak came, I then had to go up to the podium and ask him, Minister, you know what? Is it okay if I tell people that I know you? And he said yes. So I made the announcement. So I'm making it now that I know Honorable Puti. But for some people, you are going to mention people's names and they don't want to be associated with you. So just don't name drop. Ask them first if I can use your name. Some might go and say, I know Patrick was there. I know that guy. I'll give his number. No. We might not know each other like that. So it's always important to develop relationships that when you network, it's got impact. Right? Bring value to the event. Don't be the reason why the average value of the venue goes down. And then also, when you're dropping names, drop it wise. There's one time I dropped a name that backfired, a prominent person, right? And I can't remember what I wanted to do. I was like, you know what? This is what's going on. I won't tell you their name because you'll know that they're the Adventist church. And I said, I know so and so and so. And I thought if I drop this name, things are going to move for me. And then I saw the person's face change, like, if you do business with that person, then I don't think we can continue. Yes. So it backfires at times. So just make sure the name is what I started off with before. So I don't know if I should continue and get into something else, because now I think networking is quite critical and how you form your relationship is important. And also helping other people is very important for your own success. I'll give you this as my last testimony. There's this one gentleman, back in 2007, I started working in Harare in 2006. And then 2007, I moved from Avenues to a house in Cranbourne. It had 4 bedrooms. I couldn't afford the rent alone, so I took a housemate. So it was 2 of us guys staying in a 4-bedroom house in Cranbourne. I had 2 bedrooms, he had 2. And then at his rural area, this housemate of mine, we're cohabiting, at his rural area in Kwekwe, there was a young man that had got 15 points at A level doing MPC. So he thought, I want to do something good for this young man. And he's not going to be successful in Kwekwe at the rural home. So can I bring him to Harare? So he asked me, can I bring this boy and can you stay with him? Not a problem. You've got another bedroom, you can put him in that bedroom. So he put the young man in that bedroom. The young man came and he got a place to do medicine at UZ. So the guy is studying. We used to go out a lot as a youth, don't blame me. We got a lot, we'd invite him, he wouldn't come. You'd be reading all night. The boy read, he studied hard. I think he understood where he came from and didn't want to go back. So he studied, finished his medicine, and then when he finished, I was now getting married. And then he knew my girlfriend, who then became my wife, and he was like, I want my wife to be like yours. He thought our relationship was good, so we were joking like that. Then he later on got married. Long story short, this is almost about 18 years ago. In April, when I went to Bulawayo, I bumped into him in Guero. That young man, bumped into him in Guero. He's now got 3 kids. It's like, your family has grown. He was coming to his rural home in Kwekwe. I was going to Bulawayo. I got to Bulawayo and I got a phone call that my mom in Guero was not feeling well, right? So I had to drive back, pick her up, take her to Bulawayo. I went to Corporate 24. And at Corporate 24, they were like, okay, no, we have done these tests. We now need a specialist to then look into this case because we can't pick it up. Now we are seeing a specialist on a Sunday. It's going to be quite expensive. Then I was like, okay, give me the referral letter. They gave me the referral letter. Where am I seeing? Dr. Prince Kwetu. The boy, I kept. He is the specialist now in Bulawayo for that condition that my mom had. And I thought, if I had not taken this boy or mistreated him, this is 18 years ago. And I'm sure you have heard these testimonies. I laughed when I said it because I heard them before, now I have it myself. And like, if I mistreated this boy 18 years ago, what would he be doing to me now? It's like, Masego. Yeah. So we never know where we're going to end up. Today we are here together at different levels. Tomorrow I'm addressing you as honorable so and so. You never know. So let's treat each other well in our interactions and never look down upon each other. Because tomorrow you'll be looking at the person and they're the only person who can assist you. Right? And then I don't know if it's wasting time.
Thank you. Yeah, we have time for question and answers. Yes, today we have a lot of questions to ask. So we have self-serving now, 30 minutes to interact and ask questions. Yeah, so we have 30 minutes to interact and ask questions. So, where's the other mic? This one can be a roving mic so that people can ask questions. The other guys here, you can take this one. So can I see hands? Can I see hands? Can I see hands? Even additions, if there are other experiences that are in here, people, we are able to also. All right. Yes. Yeah.
You spoke about the language of money, but I feel that you script the who was relation. If you could take more flesh to that aspect of language.
Okay, Aish, that's a difficult one, but it's an interesting topic on its own because when I say the language of money, we need to be able to speak it. You know, when you're speaking to investors, there's a particular language they want to hear. That's why I started by saying how many of us have got business, how many of them consider them small. So when you come and you say, I've got this small thing that I'm running, already you are taking away the interest. I'm like, okay, let's say for argument's sake, I'm a millionaire, and you tell me I've got a small thing. Why would I want to come and deal with a small thing that's not going to give me money? So those are some of the signs, right? You need to understand as you're approaching whoever you're approaching, understand what their interests are. That's the language of money. Because if you come in, let's say you are doing, you've got a business and you then approach an investor that only wants to say fund tobacco farming. And you don't know that and you are there and you've got your maize crop that you want to raise. You are in the wrong space. Money is not speaking to money in that space. You need to understand where your investors are and what it is that they are looking for. So when I'm saying money speaks money, or money understands money, it takes you to understand the people that you're approaching and what their interests are. And then you present yours and how you can then assist them to achieve their goals as well. Now, here's another example. You know now that I work at ZB. Let's say you're an entrepreneur and you now want sponsorship for your event. And then you come and you say, I'm running this event, we're going to bring traders together, we want to do A, B, C, D, E. ZB, can you sponsor? We're going to allow you space to put your banners, put flyers, we're going to give you a speaking slot. You're not necessarily speaking to me when you say that. What you need to understand is, what is ZB's strategy this year? What are they focusing on? If I'm telling you that this year we want to open maybe 1 million accounts on Smile Cash, if I tell you that this year we want to open accounts in these places, what, you now need to speak to that strategy. Because if you tell me that you can put banners and you can give me a speaking slot, what are you talking? But if you're telling me that I can open for you on this day 50 accounts of high net worth individuals, then now we are speaking. So understand all the people that you approach for investment or for partnership, understand what their goals are and what they want to achieve. That's why I also asked to say, when you knew I was coming here today, how many Googled to find out what I was about? Because, for instance, if you know, you Googled and you found out that maybe I've got 2 or 3 children and my son's birthday today, you come and say, Patrick, I see it's your son's birthday today, happy birthday to him. Do you know how we immediately connect? Immediately, because you took interest in finding out before I came. And now we're connecting. Just because you said, tell your son I said happy birthday. Maybe I posted it on Facebook or I have it on LinkedIn. So those are the conversations that I'm saying money likes to have. And this is why we always say that money follows money. And sometimes we think that because we are broke, money will never come to us. No, we're not speaking the language right. We always go and we're asking and we're not showing value. And sometimes also you need to understand that money doesn't necessarily follow right ideas. I know a lot of people say that, but when most people are investing in startup companies, they're investing in an individual, not necessarily the idea. The idea can be good, but I might not trust that you can take that idea and see it through. I might say, give me that idea, let me give it to my team, let them work on it. So we invest in individuals. So dress money, speak money, talk money, we can educate ourselves on these things. Just speak. Let's speak about EBITDA. I don't even know what that is. I'm not an accountant. But these are the kind of words that people like to hear. Return on investment, return on equity, 50% stake for whatever. Know the language when you're speaking. Don't come and say it for a small business. I'll keep saying that, so you remember it. Are there any other questions?
Are you happy? You're happy, okay, good. Yes.
1, 2. So, I have a question and I wrote it down. You said if the motto is that the white people work for their grandchildren because their grandparents have already set them up, how then do we as black people work for our grandchildren if we are already struggling to feed and fend for them?
That's a hard one. But if you also remember, I kind of answered it by saying that we might not make it. The best you can do right now is leave a name. What's your surname? Shamiarira. But you see, you kind of have a surname. But it now needs to trace back to you when you're leaving it, to then say, okay, like I try as much as possible to tell my kids to say, you're a Masego. And by that, I don't want to be embarrassed when I have to come and they say, Tumelo Masego has done A, B, C, D, E. Because right now I come here and I'm speaking. And you can see there's an elder Masego. The next thing you know, Tumelo Masego did something and it brings my whole name into disrepute. So that model, yes, it might not also have worked for all the white people. I'm just saying this particular one because I spoke to him and he explained it. And that's what we can endeavor to do as well, to then say, you know what, I'm going to work with that vision in mind. To say I'm going to, and by the way also, not all businesses need to be left to the third and fourth generation. Some businesses are there for a season and they need to go. For example, COVID. When COVID started, many people were manufacturing sanitizers. Many people started doing face masks. And they're nice face masks with designs and all those things. Those businesses are dead now. So not every business needs to last long. Sometimes you take advantage of an opportunity in the market, make money from it, and then let it die. Right? But the most important thing, like I was saying, is the name. Try as much as possible to then say, if I leave this place and I remember, and someone comes like, no, yeah, I used to, and you know, this works really well also within the church, amongst the pastors, and I'm sure you've seen it, that pastor they started Solusi, they did that, you know the stories, right? Those names are important. But let's try. Let's try to make the money this side, make the dollar. The Lord has given us talents. Whatever's in your hand right now, spin it in a good way. Spin it in a good way. And then let's make money and then work with trying to leave something for the next generation. Because most of the things that we inherit from our parents are debt. Yeah, we just inherit debt from our parents. Let's not do that.
Kudikana kuti zvanzichisira wana kuzitana kucheka. Ngatite mari ndizvoka. Aiwa sende maiwa ndizvazvo asi aiwa mari inodiwa ndizvoka. All right. Any other question?
Okay, that is not a question, but maybe just to add or maybe to answer you partly. There was a time in Mount Pleasant, but the owner of the house...
Sorry, ma'am. I think it's also important to introduce yourself and what you do. I think we should have been doing that. Yeah. It's also part of the mentoring. Yeah, so I'll start with you.
Okay, my name is Anki Garanewako. I'm a banker at Kids too, I think. So the owner of the house angasigagara ipapo but mwana wake aigara ipapo. So I thought kuti zvezvekuti you have conversations nemwana wacho, and then mwana wacho explained to me kuti you know what, panapa ndiri kugara pamba pababa vangu, but I'm also a tenant. Ndinorenta. Saka chandinongoita kuvakolektira mari ndonovapa. And do you know kuti even pavo vakatotiudza kuti you are not part of the will. And I thought he was very cruel. But now when you say we have to work for our school, because that's exactly the concept Yang explained. Baba Vakati, I did all that I could do for you. Saka shandileke ndakushandira, I'm now working for our school. So iwo the motto yekuti vana vaendesa kuchikoro and after school they go to university. And vari ku-university, after that they are given 2 years vari papa to find their feet. After 2 years they have to leave their house and live on their own. Kana vazofaila, that's when we would then rescue them. But sometimes we are too lenient, nofunga kuti tiri kuvanakisira. Now it's making sense kuti we have to create inheritance for our school.
All right, thank you. I think there was another hand. Yes. From here, what is the next point of call? All right, there's another hand there. What is the mic is moving? We got assistance at a certain business conference, just to add to what she was saying, to say, instead of putting the inheritance in Chumelo's name, you put the inheritance in the family, so that even when you are born, nobody can dispose the inheritance. Your kids can be beneficiaries, but also your grandchildren can also be beneficiaries. But most of the day, I think I heard somebody talking about estate management somewhere. Yes. I would also want you to touch on this one. I think because of your experience, it will help. That's an important one. To say, because most of the fear is, if I give my Mati and my Mai might not be interested, maybe she goes to Canada or whatever. She then sells, right? But maybe Mati's children would then need or will require whatever efforts or investment that I did. Maybe they will then struggle. So it's better to then secure as a trust rather than putting it in individual names. So the trust should be in such a way that it continues with your children. Even if you have girl children, they will actually be beneficiaries, their kids and things like that. So there are ways in that in which these trusts are structured in such a way that it protects the investment in the lineage up to the 4th or 5th or whatever generation. Yeah, so I think maybe if you have a bit of knowledge to that, but remember Chimuka said he can come again. Lawyers can actually educate you about this model. It's a very interesting model. Because sometimes when I'm dead, maybe my Marange can decide to be married to someone else. And if I put the trust in her name, so whatever I work becomes yeah, okay. And the same thing can happen to my daughters, right? If I put in my daughter's name, maybe my daughter, and then whoever is married to my daughter then, so there's a way in which you can protect your lineage in your investments. So they are trust in their ways in which they can be designed. So that's all. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Luka. I'm a new interior design for commercial spaces. I wanted to ask, is it better to specialize in one business or have other businesses? For example, I'm an interior designer. So sometimes you can get a contract, you get one contract, and maybe you can have maybe 3 or 4 months you have nothing coming in, but you're spending the money. So maybe if you save some money, start another business so that when you have that job, there's something else to pick you up, and then open other businesses as you go so that you always have an income. Is that a good idea, or just to keep to that one business and then just hope for the best? Yes.
Okay, if you remember, I said that some businesses should be allowed to die. So if the business that you are running is one that you see that it's because some of the businesses exist during certain periods, there are trends, let me put it that way. They are trending businesses. If you remember the quail, it was the quail bird. Yeah, it was trending at the time, then it died, right? If you remember those businesses where people were taking those charcoal irons and selling them, if you remember that fad as well, and then it died. So if your business is running quite well and your model is solid, and you make more money, there's no harm in starting another business. But that new business should not then take all the money from this business and then kill it. So you also asked to say, is it okay to specialize? It is great. But with specialization, you should also then see how your skill can be applied elsewhere. And because you're an entrepreneur, I think it may be different, but I also speak this a lot to those people that are employed. You go to university, you study banking and finance, right? You get a job in a bank. And because now you're now working a bit, you start doing your master's in financial engineering. Now you want to become a manager, you want to get promoted, you do an MBA. And you acquire all your skills around banking. If the bank retrenches you, where do you apply it? So that's the balance that you now need to strike. So if the bank then retrenches you, now you need to understand how you can apply everything you have learned about lending, financial engineering in any other space. When I was at CABS, I ran the youth fund for about 4 years and then they stopped lending. And then after that, I thought I wasted 4 years of my time because there was nothing else to do in the organization. The rest of the team was asked to go. But one person made me realize that it's like, Patrick, you're the only person that can safely say they've been to every province and every district in this country. Yes, all 10 provinces, all 52 districts I've been. What have I learned? And that's how I ended up in innovation, because I understand the landscape now. But the question is, when you're becoming an expert, what are you learning that you can apply elsewhere? Yes, I think there was another hand.
My name is Benjamin Shamiri. My question is this lesson, actually, it has been touched on. It's about formalization.
Formalization.
Yes. What is the right time to formalize a business? Is it when before you start the business, or there is another stage that you have to formalize the business? And opening company accounts, you have to open accounts before you start the business.
That's a tough question. Are you in business?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. Your company is registered?
I have registered so many companies.
Okay.
Not very functional.
All right. It's you know, I know that a lot of businesses want to fly under Zimbabwe's radar. No one wants to pay tax, so you don't want to formalize. But the problem with that is that you will always remain small because you don't want to go above a certain threshold where you're detected. So you always remain operating at that level, and you're not allowing the business to grow. So I would suggest that formalize your business from the onset, especially if you are one person who's going to want to get investment. Because those are the due diligence checks we'll have. Is your business registered? Yes, Sierra 14 and all the other documents. Who are the directors in the business? We want to see them there. Do a credit check on the directors. Who do they owe money? Police clearance, all these things. We need to see that. Where is the business operating from? We want to come and inspect the physical premises of the business. So if you really want to get investment and you're serious about the business, then formalize. Because even if you are not that big, but you're dealing with corporates, we're going to ask for your tax clearance. Do you have a tax clearance? No. Then we might not give you the business deal or the tender, or we might then just withhold it. But you see, it's always nice when the business is formalized. So I'll say formalize from the onset. There's no harm in doing that. By formalizing, you then create your bank account. It's now easier. References. When you want to get a loan, you just pull out your bank statement. This is how much my business is generating. It's all going through the bank, and you've got those records. But if you are not formal, then your sources of funding may also then have to be informal.
Maybe to just add to that, I think these days, even if you don't have collateral, they can use your cash flows to give you money. So if you want to attract money, then you need to formalize. There's no way you can attract money from capital markets, from banks, financial institutions without formalizing. And that also restricts your growth. If you are just working under the radar, do you have to know chimsea mwendizoka? But for growth, because nobody wants to deal with with an unformalized business. So formalization, and maybe the issue was, what is the right time to formalize, right? Yes, people can start from the informal, but also the vision that we have with the business. One way, you know, we maybe I should make 10 million. I should make $100. And that person, $100 is actually okay for him. So also your vision also determines how you're also going to structure your business. But for the broader aspect, for the economy to grow, we need to formalize so that at least we pay taxes, for the economy to function. So I think that's the other addition that I have. Yes, Madam Karanewako. Mike?
Formalize to also miss out on other opportunities. Because Mama Koko never registered our channel directly you end up working through a company or someone in the times where money. Because if you look at my organizations, they have a business. Even for example, suppliers list year economies, you have to be formalized. So you find out and was it a challenges? Unless you want to be small, which you might actually go to individuals, then you can avoid to formalize.
Okay, thank you. Mike, maybe we can take 2 more questions. We have left about 10 minutes.
Okay, mine is not a question per se, but a request. The name is Sue Mandawana. I'm afraid for other. We obviously didn't do our homework very well, and we've learned a new skill into meeting someone for the first time, or someone is coming to do a presentation and things like that. Try to understand, try to unpack all the characteristics. So we did do our homework, and kindly imploring you to, have us leave this place with an appreciation of who Mr. Patrick Masego is. I rushed to LinkedIn, and I checked for you, and it says here that currently you're the executive head of innovation at ZB Financial Holdings. So maybe help us to understand what a head of innovation does. I also like to Google to try and check what a head of innovation in a bank does. I have an appreciation of what you do. And maybe for the benefit of my colleagues here, it will be prudent for you to hammer on that. And also maybe educate us on how we can also have some think tanks in our small businesses in courts for the sake of a better way. I know we mustn't call them small anymore, but we also need to have probably that impetus to have think tanks in our businesses that can be thinking along the lines of what you do from 8 to 5.
Okay, when you say 8 to 5, there is an innovation hub called 8 to 5 that we started. But now they are my competitors, so don't mention them. So, executive head innovation is the job title that I was given at ZB. One of the things that I like to say also is that I'm rebranding myself because I don't want to be known as that. Because the minute you know that this guy is an executive at ZB, when you invite me to come here, you invite the office. When ZB rechanges me, will you call me back? As what? Remember when I said the name is important? Because right now it's nice, what is ZB executive that was there? And it's nice to invite people to the event. But the day I get retrenched, you will not know me as Patrick Masego. As Patrick Masego, where do you work? Now that's a problem. So what I'm saying is I've tried to rebrand myself over the past 3 or 4 years, I think. Now I call myself a foundation strategist. So when it's not ZB, it's a foundation strategist. If you Google that word foundation, my name is the only one that will appear in the entire world. Finlition is a blend of 3 words. It's financial literacy and innovation strategist. So that's what I want to do right now, and that's why we keep having these talks about innovation. But you asked about what I do at ZP. ZP, I'm sure you're all aware of the rebranding that we did, new logo, new everything, new structure, and then as part of that, we then put in an innovation department. Innovation is to help the company move from where it is into a future fit company. And by that we are saying that, some of the things that we're doing, right now you are speaking about formalization. The only way you can bank and do business through a bank is if you're formal. But the economy is informal. How do we penetrate the informal sector? We need products that speak to the informal sector. We need platforms that informal sector people can trade on. And that's what innovation is trying to achieve now, to then say, how do we go into these informal spaces? Because we might not need to formalize the informal sector. We may just need to develop products that speak to that sector. And that's the burden that we have right now. So it's product development, it's also building startup companies. There are a couple, we have an innovation hub, and there are some startup companies that are working from there. I think about 5 of them. Most of them are into software development. And that's what we're trying to work on. Some of the other guys are not doing software development, but doing manufacturing and inventions. So we also work with those. So innovation is really to try and position the company into a future fit organization. So I like to work with innovators, people that don't think like us, that are regulated, but people that can come and say, what stops us from giving loans to the ladies that sell bread at the corner? I don't know if they're there here in Mabelreign, which is where most of you are from, but in Modern Park, there's a whole road with women that sell bread, and Bakers Inn comes and delivers bread to these women every morning, and they collect money. Clearly, there's a model that's working, but that money is not making it to the formal sector. And if it's not making it to the formal sector, there's no development. So we want to then see how we can get into that space. And there's about 8 billion, according to the World Bank, circulating in the informal sector. Your Mbare, your Glenview, all those places, $8 billion circulating there. It is never going to make it to the formal sector. Because they make their money in cash, they go and buy from another tuck shop. The only people that buy from OK are you, and Spar, and Pick and Pay. The rest buy from tuck shops. I don't know, those goods are also smuggled, I guess, but they're cheaper. But that's the nature of the informal sector. So that's part of what we do to answer the question. Was it the last hand or there's another one?
There's a common saying that says that if you're not yet ready to borrow money, then you won't make it in business. So, first question is borrowing money biblically supported? And secondly, what are the chances of making money without borrowing money? Are they very low? Do you have people who can actually push and make money without going to take loans?
I work for a bank, and the question, because I encourage people to borrow money. I ask them about whether it's biblically correct or not. I know the Bible does say be a debtor to no man. I also know that the Bible says that you should not charge interest unduly to people. So if it's also saying that, it means that someone would have borrowed, but don't charge interest unfairly to them. So there's a balance, I guess. You can borrow money, but at the same time also it's what you're borrowing for. Don't borrow for consumption. Borrow to start the business. Like I said, this cousin of mine, she wasn't borrowing, she was asking, I gave her, but she bought a phone. It doesn't make sense. Borrow money if it's going to be. And okay, the other simple principle also is that as a bank, when we borrow money, we don't give you money and then expect you to pay from another source of income, because we normally ask for collateral. So you can't borrow with the hope that if I fail to pay, we'll sell the house. No. We need to establish that what you are borrowing for can generate the money to repay the loan. So it's okay to borrow, because sometimes you can't grow without borrowing. But borrow and use for the intended purpose. Don't borrow just, you bring your papers, they're all in order, the business is doing well, and you're borrowing for the business, and then you divert the funding, and you buy a car or something. It doesn't make sense. It needs to generate that money back. Yes.
Good evening. So my name is Brian Mafalachisi, and I'm into clearing forwarding. So my question is, when you started speaking, you asked the question, small business or big business? Maybe you're asking from your perspective as a banker, but my question would then be, what basis are we using to classify our businesses as either small or big? Why I'm asking this is because we're also speaking of networking. and you ask us again if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur. So you find that if you're an entrepreneur, you're constantly starting businesses, which means at any one time you're always starting small. And when I'm small, I'm networking. When I approach you, you're going to ask me what my business is about. How then do I present myself to you in a way that you don't then view me as a small business, but you view and see the idea as something that has got potential and that can actually go far, and I can actually stand by it with confidence that yes, it's starting, but it's actually big.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm clear.
It's a clear and good question. So this is what I would advise, because you see, the way I will see your business is the way you see it. So if you come to me and you tell me it's small, that's how I'll see it. And that's why I was saying, let's not say that, right? If you ask me right now and say, okay, Patrick, for a talk like this in any other space, there's no church, if you didn't say elder, and you called me on a Sunday, and we're sitting outside, not in the church, and I was charging, how much do you charge for this conversation? I'll tell you I charge $500 an hour. Have I ever received $500 an hour? Not yet for these talks. Maybe about $300 an hour, but we can pro rata. Now, I think I'm a bit full of myself, so I say it. And they say, I want $500 an hour. If you can't afford that, you can bring it down to 30 minutes, I can cut it down to, $250, and we pro rata. Because I think I'm big now in this. And it's a mindset thing that we all now need to develop, because I know the value that I can give when we have a conversation, right? So when you also now presenting yourself as a business person to an individual, you are clearing and forwarding or whatever other business that you then decide to start. But if you know that you can execute, all you're now saying is that, listen, I can do to the biggest person that you think of, it could be, I don't know which big person that you can think of that you can then present your idea to, and I can do this thing for you and I can sort it out. And then you go and you do it and you deliver. That's all people want, because when we're investing, remember what I said, that we're investing in individuals, not the idea. So if you're thinking big about what you're doing and you can see the vision, then by all means, don't start saying that it's small. It's a big thing that you're thinking of, and the individual that you're speaking to should be able to buy into that vision. So in parting also, one of the things that you might need to then also start doing is have a personal statement. And your personal statement can't be, I'm running a small business. What's your personal statement? You opened my LinkedIn. Do you see what my statement was on LinkedIn? Or even on WhatsApp, for those that might have my number. Well, I stole it from a movie, but I customized it from a movie. You might recognize that line from Liam Neeson. But have a personal statement that when you're presenting yourself, if someone comes and they say, you said your name was? Brian. What does Brian do? I should in one sentence detail what you do. And in that one sentence, I can't say Brian runs a small business. Brian does A, B, C, D, E, and he does this, and he's also able to do this. That's okay. At what level are you doing it? That's a topic for another conversation. But I need to know what it is that you do. I hope it answers.
Thank you so much, Patrick. All right, maybe you are the last one.
So one last question. How can you, since you said you are in innovation, how can an ordinary business implement or use AI to grow the business? Because I think everywhere now it's just AI. I'm just looking at it from a point of an ordinary business, or maybe predicting that I'm putting some tomatoes, or how can I then make use of the AI to support my business?
Guys, I'm going to say something about AI, but please don't stone me on this, because I'm not a big fan of it. So you're asking the wrong person. Okay, AI is going to change a lot of things, granted. But in Africa also, Zimbabwe particularly, we are very far from where we need to go. Right now, if you ask ChatGPT, any question, because you see the people that are developing AI models are in Europe and in America. So they're going to, we are familiar with how AI works, right? So people are training AI models based on what they know. So when you ask a question here in Zimbabwe, you'll get an American response. If you're not talking about how do you save, for a house maybe. You get answers that talk about, the taxes in America and all these things and all those things. That's how AI is currently working. So up until we get to a point where we start training AI models, we'll not get answers to that kind of question. Because you ask a question and it will give you a response from Europe. You'll ask a question and give it. Some are close, yes, but we need to understand that here in Zim, when we get those responses, how do we then customize them to this market? So it's not all about AI, because people fear that AI is going to change a lot of things, and it will. It will cause a whole lot of automation. But how do you then reskill to then position yourself for that? Because we still need to take care of the machines. These things started way back when we started watching Terminator and the rise of the machines and artificial intelligence. But now it's a reality that we're living, right? So the real question is, how do you then fit into that community selling tomatoes? And for some of these things, we don't need AI. So let's not fear where AI is going to go. We can use it to advantage. And I think the biggest use of AI right now is probably ChatGPT and Meta Chat, that search, and all these other things. But it's if you can, we can then start working on changing and understanding how these models work. But for some people, I think it's just going to be a headache to want to start learning how to code and start learning how to use AI and all those things. Professions will change as a result of it, but I don't think it's something we need to fear, because right now I think in Africa, in Zimbabwe, we're still battling with bread and butter issues. That the machines will take over is a non-starter. Right now I want to know where's the bread coming from, where's the agriculture, and maybe AI in agriculture could assist. So these are some of the basic things, how are we eating, where are we staying, shelter, and all that. So I think that's why I said I say it with caution, because I could be saying we're still far, but other people that are pro-AI will be saying we're in it right now. Patrick, what are you saying? So I want us to understand the difference and the things that we really need to start considering right now to then say, can we survive, can we eat, can we clothe ourselves, where are the clothes coming from? And for some of those things, we really don't need AI. Right? And I said it with caution.
Right, thank you. So you can't do that. You are the custodian of time if you want to waste it. All right, maybe to accommodate you, while he is asking his final questions, those who came with business cards, do we have somewhere to put? We want to do a raffle. Whoever I'm going to call Pastor is going to come and pick a business card. I'm bringing a lifetime hamper for that person tomorrow, so that at least the culture of bringing business cards sticks in people's minds. All right, to replace more, you can use the word imagine. My business is an emerging business, right? I think that is more dignified, and it actually then speaks to the growth that is going to come. So instead of small, let's replace the word small with emerging, right? It's a growing business. Can I pass now? When I might pay you my head again, you say. All right, thank you. So those with business cards, let's just put our business cards in there. Could print this a business card, $3, $2. In what I did, so that people don't get confused, I've got a catalog, Kumashuro, products, my face for remembrance, and my details. This helps a lot. This helps a lot. So I think you can ask the question. Those with business cards, please feel free to put your business cards there. It's a business seminar. Business seminar. Okay, yes.
So yeah, I just want to check on his appreciation of the Mabelreign place in 10 districts. So what kind of business private people are needed in Zimbabwe, and how can we identify them?
Yes, yeah. You should have taken that question. Okay, I can't really tell you what kind of business are thriving. The second part was what? Okay, okay, this is how I like to answer that question now. Now, the good businesses are the ones that people have problems with, or rather, the good businesses are the ones that solve people's problems. I hope that now makes sense. So, which business can you start, or how many businesses are there to start? There are as many businesses to start as there are problems that need solving. Right now, Harare is treating it, we all know the story about Harare water. What's the solution to Harare water? We might not know, there might not be chemists amongst us, but if there are ways of purifying the water, because I'm told Harare's got like 11 chemicals in its water, Mutare's got 3. I was quite impressed because the water's quite clean there. But that's the problem. There's a problem with food, there's a problem with electricity right now. I remember back in the day, there was a gentleman that came out on ZBC with the president, His Excellency, at the time, and had a generator that ran on water. What became of that? We were solving diesel problems and fossil fuels, and now we're talking about carbon credits. So all these problems that are there require solutions. The question is, are we thinking critically about how we can then solve them? The businesses that make money are those that people are willing to pay for. You know, if you've got a product that people are willing to pay for, by all means, get into that and people will pay. And when they pay, you make your money from that. So that's the easiest way I can answer, or that's the easiest way I can get out of answering your question directly. But there's many businesses to start as there are problems that require solving. So think of your own problem and solve it. If transport is your problem, find a way of solving it. If water is a challenge, we try to avoid drinking Harare water. You want to buy mineral water, bottle your water and solve that problem. Whatever the case may be, just solve the problem. Yes?
Okay.
I can give someone the opportunity to speak.
Okay. My name is Tseko Kudu, and I help individuals to present themselves in their absence, whether be digitally or using business cards. So my question, or rather my innovation was, is there access to information on the problems? Like they normally have having relatively concentrated information on problems relatively in Zimbabwe, or it's us doing the hard way of having to travel to those places so that I can know the problems I have to address in that particular area.
These questions keep getting deeper and harder. Do you know what? Don't overthink the problems with people. We all know them. In our homes right now, they are there. The problem is that the ego is not where the money is, or rather the money is not where the ego is. We want cool jobs. Right now we've got a problem with maybe tomatoes and onions. Plant or just start a farming venture and then solve that problem. You see the problem, and I've seen this especially with the youth, we want the cool jobs. You know, no one wants to do an in-drive. But there's a gentleman that I spoke to, also I think he's from City Church, that was running an in-drive and had managed to save $10,000. When I made a similar business, who's considered like about 10K. Like from where it's like I'm doing an in-drive, and so I'm thinking, should I buy a second car or should I invest in another business? And it's like, you know, if in-drive is giving you money, buy another car. So we need to run away from trying to look for the cool problems to solve. Some of them are Western, they don't have solutions locally. And we find the Western solutions and we can't try and come and implement them here. They don't apply in Africa. So let's find the real that we're dealing with right now. And I'm sure we know them. I spoke about water, I spoke about food, I spoke about electricity. And electricity, I'm not saying that we're going to solve the problems at Kariba. How can you come up with a simple energy generating problem for the home and stuff like that? So let's just, they're there. And I don't like giving the details of where they are there.
Alrighty, thank you so much. Can you please clap hands for Patrick? Alright, so the pastor is going to pick he had picked secretly, and I said, I'm from this, to that transparency. Now, to dedicate Shona to this way, he is a faithful man, a man of God, but I don't know this work. Mfundisi wakati ndiye wasala sepona go now to who is going to get a great time number tomorrow. You know, somehow I've picked a baby silver. Oh, the same card. Which is very good. It was meant to be. Yeah, so Mr. Brian Farachisi, you are receiving a hamper from Glide Time tomorrow. So please, let's normalize bringing business cards to business seminars. This will happen. All right, thank you so much.